The final examination chamber was unlike anything Maya had seen on the Catherian vessel. The room was perfectly spherical, with walls that seemed to extend infinitely in all directions. She floated in the center, held in place by some kind of gravity field, while holographic displays surrounded her in 3 dimensions. Only 4 candidates had made it to the creative problem-solving phase. Besides Maya, there was Zeth Korvac, the crystalline mathematician, Morth 7, the machine intelligence, and Kethvar, a gaseous being whose species had mastered energy manipulation on a stellar scale. Each represented millions of years of evolutionary advancement and scientific progress. High Examiner Vorthnal materialized in the chamber, its form somehow more imposing in this strange environment. Candidates, you face the ultimate test of scientific creativity. You must design a theoretical framework for faster-than-light travel that does not rely on existing Catherian technology. This challenge has been presented to candidates for over 2,000 years. None have ever provided a satisfactory solution. Maya's heart pounded as the full implications hit her. They weren't just asking for innovation. They were asking her to revolutionize the foundation of galactic civilization. Faster-than-light travel was what made the Catherian Empire possible. It was how they maintained control over thousands of worlds and established their dominance over other species. The challenge parameters appeared around her in glowing text. The new FTL method had to be more efficient than current Catherian drives, accessible to less advanced civilizations, and based on entirely different scientific principles. It was meant to be impossible. Maya watched as her competitors began their work. Zeth Korvac approached the problem through pure mathematics, attempting to find new solutions within established physical laws. Morth 7 applied massive computational power to analyze every known variation of space-time manipulation. Kethvar worked on energy-based approaches that treated space itself as a malleable substance. All of their methods were sophisticated beyond Maya's understanding, but they were also fundamentally similar to existing Catherian technology. They were trying to build better versions of what already existed, rather than finding completely new approaches. Maya closed her eyes and thought back to the breakthrough she had made during her preparation months. She had discovered that the Catherians based their entire understanding of faster-than-light travel on the assumption that space-time was uniform throughout the universe. But what if that assumption was wrong? Opening her eyes, Maya began to work on her revolutionary idea. Instead of forcing reality to conform to their will through massive energy expenditure, what if ships could work with the natural variations in space-time structure? Her calculations suggested that space wasn't uniformly dense. It had currents, eddies, and streams just like an ocean. Maya's proposed FTL drive wouldn't punch holes through reality or bend space through brute force. Instead, it would detect and ride the natural currents that already existed in the fabric of space-time. Ships could surf these cosmic streams, achieving faster-than-light speeds with minimal energy requirements. The mathematics were unconventional but elegant. Maya's framework unified quantum mechanics, general relativity, and consciousness theory in ways that revealed deeper truths about the nature of reality. Her drive wouldn't just be more efficient than Catherian technology. It would be accessible to any civilization that understood the underlying principles. When Maya submitted her solution, the entire chamber fell silent. The examining panel studied her work for what felt like hours. Maya watched their expressions shift from skepticism to confusion, to something that might have been fear. High Examiner Vorthnal was the first to speak. Candidate Maya, your proposed framework is highly irregular. These mathematical approaches are not recognized by standard scientific protocols. Sir, my mathematics are sound, Maya replied confidently. I can demonstrate each step of the derivation. The framework may be unconventional, but it's based on observable phenomena that existing theories have simply overlooked. Another examiner, Research Director Keth Moran, leaned forward. You are suggesting that our fundamental understanding of space-time structure is incomplete. Yes, sir. I believe that Catherian science, while incredibly advanced, has become constrained by its own success. Sometimes breakthrough discoveries require looking at familiar problems from completely different angles. The examination results were delayed for 3 hours while the panel debated Maya's solution. During that time, she floated alone in the spherical chamber, wondering if she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. Had she been too bold? Too critical of Catherian methods? When High Examiner Vorthnal finally returned, its expression was unreadable. After extensive analysis and verification, we have reached our conclusions. Candidate Maya Rodriguez of Earth has achieved unprecedented scores in all 3 phases of the examination. Maya's heart stopped. She had done it. She had actually passed. Your final score exceeds any result in Academy history, the examiner continued. You have not only mastered our existing knowledge, but have contributed genuinely new insights that will require significant revision of our theoretical frameworks. The other candidates received their results with various degrees of disappointment and resignation. Zeth Korvac had failed the creative phase by only a small margin. Morth 7's computational approach had been thorough but unoriginal. Only Maya had provided truly revolutionary thinking. As news of the results spread through the Academy vessel, Maya found herself at the center of a storm of controversy. Younger Catherian scientists gathered around her, eager to discuss her innovative approaches and learn about human scientific methods. But older, more conservative members of the Academy reacted with skepticism and barely concealed hostility. High Examiner Vorthnal summoned Maya to a private meeting later that evening. The ancient being's chamber was filled with artifacts from civilizations throughout the galaxy, a reminder of the Catherian Empire's vast reach and influence. Dr. Rodriguez, your performance has created a significant situation, Vorthnal began. Some members of our academic community believe your results should be invalidated because your methods are too unconventional. Maya felt a chill of fear. Had they brought her this far just to reject her at the end? However, the examiner continued, Research Director Keth Moran and others argue that innovation is exactly what the Academy needs. Our science has become perhaps too rigid, too focused on perfecting existing methods rather than discovering new ones. The Catherian moved to a window that showed the stars beyond. We offer you full admission to the Academy with the highest honors ever granted to a non-Catherian. You would have access to knowledge and technology that could advance your species by thousands of years. But the admission comes with conditions. You must remain in Catherian space and share your insights exclusively with us. Maya stared out at the stars, thinking of Earth and her unlikely team of collaborators. Ben, Lisa, and Jake had made her success possible. They deserved to share in whatever discoveries lay ahead. I appreciate the offer, Maya said carefully, but I have to decline. My research belongs to humanity, not to any single civilization. If the knowledge I've gained here is valuable, it should benefit everyone. High Examiner Vorthnal's expression showed something Maya had never seen from a Catherian before. Respect. You would give up access to the galaxy's greatest scientific resources for a principle? I would give up personal advancement to ensure that knowledge serves the common good, Maya replied. That's what science should be about. Maya's journey back to Earth was very different from her arrival. The same transport shuttle carried not just a human scientist, but a representative of a species that had fundamentally altered the galactic scientific community's perception of intelligence and capability. The news of Maya's achievement reached Earth before she did. When her shuttle landed at the International Space Research Facility, she was greeted by crowds of reporters, fellow scientists, and government officials. But the people she was most excited to see were Ben, Lisa, and Jake, who had waited for her with anxious anticipation. So how did it go? Ben asked with a grin. Maya laughed, feeling truly happy for the first time in months. I think we changed everything. The aftermath of Maya's success transformed humanity's place in the galactic community overnight. Species that had previously ignored Earth now sent diplomatic missions. Trade offers poured in from across the galaxy. The Catherians themselves began seeking human scientists for collaborative research projects. But Maya's greatest achievement wasn't her test scores or the sudden elevation of humanity's status. It was the research institute she established back on Earth, where human creativity and alien knowledge combined to push the boundaries of what was possible. The stars looked different from inside an alien ship. Captain Lisa Rodriguez pressed her face against the viewing port and watched her own vessel. The New Horizon, floating beside the massive Galactic Council diplomatic ship called Serenity's Edge. She had dreamed of this moment since she was a little girl looking up at the night sky from her backyard in Texas. First contact with alien life. Humanity was finally going to meet its neighbors. The alien ship was beautiful in a strange way. It looked like someone had grown it rather than built it. with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to shift color in the starlight. Inside, everything glowed with a soft blue light that felt peaceful and calming. The air smelled like flowers Lisa could not name, and the gravity felt lighter than Earth normal. Ambassador Zix Thera waited for her in what the aliens called their harmony chamber. The creature stood about 7 feet tall and looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a tree. Its skin was pale purple and seemed to glow from within. When it moved, it made soft musical sounds that reminded Lisa of wind chimes. Behind the ambassador stood several other aliens, all different species but all watching Lisa with what she could only describe as nervous fear. Lisa walked forward with her small team following behind her. Dr. Amy Carter, their linguist, carried a translation device and looked excited about everything she saw. Security Chief Marcus Johnson kept his hand near his weapon but tried to look relaxed. Cultural Attaché Helen Park took notes on a small tablet, recording everything for the folks back home. The aliens had been watching Earth for many years, Lisa knew. They had learned human languages and studied human culture from a distance. What they saw had clearly worried them. To the aliens, Earth was what they called a death world, a planet so dangerous and hostile that only the most violent and aggressive species could survive there. They thought humans were basically living weapons walking around in skin suits. Ambassador Zix Thera spoke in perfect English, though its voice sounded like someone singing instead of talking. Welcome, representative of the human species. We greet you in the name of peace and harmony among all living beings. Lisa smiled and extended her hand for a handshake. Every alien in the room took a step backward. She quickly put her hand down and tried a small bow instead. Thank you for inviting us. This is an amazing day for humanity. The ambassador's color shifted to a deeper purple, which Lisa guessed meant it was uncomfortable. Yes, amazing. We have watched your species for some time. We have seen your capabilities. Your world is harsh beyond imagination. Your people fight constantly. You seem to enjoy violence and chaos. These things concern us greatly. Lisa felt her smile slip a little. This was not going the way she had hoped. I think there might be some misunderstandings about humans. Yes, we have conflicts sometimes, but we also have art and music and literature. We love our families. We help each other. We dream of exploring the stars and making friends with other species. Another alien stepped forward. This one looked like a giant butterfly made of crystal. Its voice sounded like glass bells ringing. Your planet radiates death energy. Your atmosphere burns. Your gravity crushes. Your star bombards you with deadly radiation. Yet you thrive in this hell. You must be creatures of pure destruction to survive such conditions. Marcus Johnson cleared his throat. Actually, Earth is pretty nice once you get used to it. The sunsets are beautiful. The oceans are peaceful. We have forests and mountains and... The crystal butterfly alien made us sound like breaking glass. Fear, Lisa realized. It was terrified of them. Ambassador Zix Thera raised one of its branch-like arms and the other aliens went quiet. We have prepared a generous offer for your species. The Galactic Council recognizes that Deathworld species like yours have certain needs. We are willing to welcome humanity as a protected client species. You will be given safe worlds to live on, away from other civilized species. You will be provided with everything you need. In exchange, you will agree never to leave your assigned systems without council approval and escort. The harmony chamber fell silent, except for the soft humming of the ship's systems. Lisa felt her team shift behind her. She could sense their anger and disappointment, but she kept her voice calm and diplomatic. That's very kind of you, she said slowly. But I don't think humanity would be interested in that arrangement. We prefer to make our own way in the galaxy. We want to be partners, not pets. The ambassador's glow flickered and its color shifted to bright orange. The other aliens made various sounds that Lisa's translation device tagged as alarm calls. She realized she had just said something that scared them even more. You refuse our protection? The ambassador asked, its musical voice rising higher. You wish to roam freely among civilized species? This cannot be permitted. Deathworld species are too dangerous. You could contaminate peaceful worlds with your violence. You could spread your aggressive nature to other species. Dr. Amy Carter stepped forward. Ambassador, I think you misunderstand us. Humans are not naturally violent. We're actually quite social and cooperative. Most of us live our entire lives without hurting anyone. Impossible, said another alien that looked like a walking flower. No species can survive a death world without becoming weapons themselves. Your very presence here proves your dangerous nature. We can feel the destruction energy radiating from your bodies. Lisa felt her patience starting to wear thin, but she kept her voice steady. I'm sorry you feel that way about us. Maybe if we spent more time together you would see that humans are not the monsters you think we are. Ambassador Zixathara's branches began to sway, and the other aliens moved to form a circle around the humans. Lisa noticed that weapons ports had opened in the walls, though nothing was pointed at them yet. The alien's color had shifted to deep red, and its voice now sounded like a funeral dirge. I had hoped reason would prevail, the ambassador said sadly, but I see that Deathworld species cannot be reasoned with. You refuse our generous protection. You demand the right to spread your violence across the galaxy. This confirms our worst fears about your kind. Lisa felt Marcus tense behind her and knew he had spotted the weapons too. Helen stopped taking notes and moved closer to the group. Dr. Carter looked confused but not frightened yet. Perhaps, the ambassador continued, a demonstration of the consequences of defying the Galactic Council would help you reconsider our offer. Commander Velkoth, please prepare the Harmony Breaker. One of the aliens, something that looked like a metallic octopus, moved to a control panel. The Harmony chamber began to fill with a low humming sound that made Lisa's teeth itch. She had a bad feeling about what was coming next. The humming sound grew louder. Lisa watched Commander Velkoth's metallic tentacles dance across the control panel like a pianist, playing a complicated song. The other aliens backed away from the humans and put on what looked like protective headphones. Their movements were quick and nervous, like people preparing for an explosion. Dr. Amy Carter pulled out a small handheld scanner and started taking readings. Captain, I'm detecting massive sound wave preparation. Something big is building up. Ambassador Zixathara's voice cut through the growing hum. The Harmony Breaker is our most effective, non-lethal weapon. It generates sound frequencies that overwhelm the nervous system of any known species. No living being can withstand its effects. It causes immediate disorientation, panic, and complete submission. Even the most aggressive Deathworld species we have encountered surrender within seconds. Marcus Johnson moved slightly in front of Lisa, his hand now openly resting on his sidearm. Captain, should we return to our ship? Lisa held up a hand to stop him. She wanted to see what these aliens thought would break human will. Maybe understanding their weapon would help her understand their fear. Let's see what they've got. The crystal butterfly alien spoke, its voice trembling like nervous music. Please reconsider. Accept our protection. Once the Harmony Breaker activates, there is no stopping it until you surrender. We do not wish to cause you suffering. Helen Park looked around at the alien crew. All of them appeared genuinely upset about what they were about to do. This was not cruelty, she realized. They actually believed they were doing something necessary but unpleasant, like parents punishing children for their own good. The weapon is charged and ready, Commander Velkoth announced. Its metallic body reflected the chamber's blue light in strange patterns. All crew members have protective equipment activated. The humans remain unprotected. Shall I proceed? Ambassador Zixathara's color shifted to deep blue, which Lisa was starting to recognize as sadness or regret. You have forced our hand. This brings us no joy. Commander, activate the Harmony Breaker. The low humming suddenly exploded into something much bigger. Sound waves filled the chamber like invisible hammers pounding against everything in the room. Lisa felt the vibrations in her bones, in her chest, in her skull. The noise was incredible. It started with deep bass notes that seemed to come from everywhere at once, then added layer after layer of different sounds. High-pitched screeches mixed with grinding mechanical noises. Subsonic pulses that Lisa felt more than heard made her internal organs vibrate. Ultrasonic frequencies at the edge of human hearing created a sensation like needles in her brain. The alien weapon threw everything together in a chaotic mess designed to be absolutely unbearable. The alien crew winced even behind their protective equipment. Some of them covered their heads with their arms or tentacles or whatever they used for hands. The sound was so intense that the ship's walls began to vibrate visibly. Lisa stood in the middle of it all and felt something unexpected happen. Her head started to tilt to one side, following a rhythm she could hear underneath all the chaos. The bass line was actually quite complex, with mathematical patterns that reminded her of some of the experimental music she had listened to in college. A smile began to grow on her face. The aliens watched in growing horror as their ultimate weapon failed to produce the expected results. Lisa was not falling to her knees in surrender. She was not screaming in agony. She was not begging them to stop. She was nodding her head in time with the beat. "Hey," Lisa called out, her voice somehow carrying clearly over the nightmarish sound. "This is pretty good stuff. It reminds me of that experimental metal band from Detroit I used to see in college. They played in abandoned factories with no sound dampening. This has a similar raw energy." Dr. Amy Carter had put away her scanner and pulled out a different device, one designed to analyze complex audio patterns. She seemed completely fascinated by the technical aspects of what was happening. "The mathematical precision is remarkable. They're creating 17 different harmonic progressions simultaneously." Commander Velkoth stared at its control panel, as if it had broken. All readings showed the weapon operating at maximum efficiency. The acoustic energy output was higher than anything they had ever achieved. Yet the humans seemed completely unaffected. Lisa started to move her body slightly, swaying to rhythms that only she could hear in the mechanical chaos. Her movements were graceful and natural, like someone enjoying music at a concert. "You know what this needs? Maybe some percussion in the mid-range frequencies. And if you could add some distortion to the upper harmonics." Marcus Johnson watched his captain dancing to what was supposed to be acoustic torture and decided to remove his emergency ear protection. The sound hit him like a physical wall, but after a moment of adjustment, he found himself nodding along too. "Yeah, that's not bad at all. Though I think the 15 kilohertz range could use some work. Too much white noise, not enough actual structure." The alien crew was now experiencing something completely outside their understanding. Every assumption they had made about how living beings responded to sound was being casually destroyed by these Deathworld creatures who seemed to find joy in what should have been pure agony. "Helen." Park moved closer to Ambassador Zixathera, raising her voice to be heard over the weapon. "Is this your idea of music? Because humans have been creating and enjoying sounds like this for centuries. We call it industrial music, or noise music, or experimental sound art." The ambassador's color had shifted to white, which Lisa guessed meant shock or confusion. Its branches were trembling and the musical quality of its voice was completely gone. "This is impossible. No species finds pleasure in acoustic assault. The harmony breaker is designed to be unbearable to any nervous system." Dr. Amy Carter approached Commander Velkoth with genuine scientific curiosity. "How are you generating these frequency combinations? Are you using quantum resonance chambers? The interference pattern suggests some kind of multidimensional wave manipulation." Commander Velkoth looked at her with what might have been panic in its strange metallic eyes. Here was a member of the species being tortured by its ultimate weapon, and she wanted to discuss the technical specifications. Lisa continued to sway to the rhythm, her smile growing wider as the weapon reached new peaks of intensity. "Oh, now you've added some bass drops. That's nice. Marcus, you've really got to appreciate the layering they're doing here. It's like that club we went to on Mars Station, but with more creativity in the experimental range." The harmony chamber filled with the sound of alien distress calls as the crew realized their most powerful, non-lethal weapon was providing entertainment for the humans instead of forcing their surrender. Commander Velkoth's tentacles moved frantically across the control panel, pushing the harmony breaker beyond its normal operating limits. If standard intensity could not break these humans, then perhaps maximum power would do the job. The alien had never failed to subdue a target before, and its pride as a weapons officer was at stake. The sound in the harmony chamber became even more intense. New frequencies layered on top of the existing chaos, mechanical grinding mixed with electronic screeches, deep subsonic pulses that could crack stone combined with ultrasonic needles designed to pierce straight through brain tissue. The alien crew, even with their protective equipment, looked like they were in physical pain. Lisa Rodriguez just smiled wider and began to actually dance. Her movements were fluid and rhythmic, as if she was responding to a completely different kind of music than what everyone else was hearing. She threw her arms up in the air and spun around, her feet keeping time with beats that existed somewhere in the mathematical chaos of the weapon. "Oh, wow. Now you've really opened it up," she laughed, her voice cutting through the noise like it was background music in a coffee shop. "This is fantastic. The way you're building the harmonic tension and then releasing it with those bass drops. It's like a 20-minute progressive rock song compressed into pure audio experience." Dr. Amy Carter had completely removed her protective gear and was taking detailed measurements with multiple instruments. Her face showed the kind of excitement usually reserved for major scientific discoveries. Captain, the complexity here is incredible. They're not just generating random noise. There are mathematical relationships between all these frequencies. It's like they've turned physics into art. Ambassador Zixothera watched this scene with growing horror. Its color had shifted through several shades that Lisa did not recognize, finally settling on a sickly yellow-green that probably meant nausea or panic. The ambassador's musical voice was now harsh and discordant when it spoke. How is this possible? The harmony breaker has never failed. It breaks the will of any living creature. It should be causing you unbearable agony. You should be begging us to stop. Marcus Johnson had moved to stand beside his captain, both of them now moving to the rhythm of the alien weapon. You want to know how we can handle this? Let me tell you about construction work. I spent 3 summers working on highway projects when I was in college. 8 hours a day next to jackhammers, bulldozers, and cement mixers. This is actually quieter than that job was. Helen Park pulled out her tablet and started recording the alien reactions along with the sound patterns. From a cultural perspective, this is fascinating. You've created what humans would call an immersive audio experience. We have entire genres of music based on similar principles: industrial, noise, experimental, electronic, drone metal. The crystal butterfly alien made a sound like glass breaking in slow motion. Those are not music. Those are weapons. You cannot make music from chaos and destruction. Lisa stopped dancing for a moment and looked directly at the alien. That's where you're wrong. Humans have been making music from chaos for thousands of years. We bang on drums, which is basically controlled noise. We scrape strings, blow air through tubes, hit metal bars with hammers. All music is organized chaos when you really think about it. Commander Velkoth increased the power again, pushing the harmony breaker into dangerous territory. Warning lights flashed on the control panel, and several alien crew members backed even further away. The ship's hull began to vibrate so intensely that small objects fell from shelves. Lisa closed her eyes and swayed to the enhanced rhythm, looking genuinely blissful. Now that's what I'm talking about. You've got some real low-end power there. The subsonic range is perfect. It's like standing next to the speakers at a metal concert. Dr. Amy Carter approached Ambassador Zixothera with her scanner readings. I think I understand the problem. You've designed this weapon based on the assumption that all species respond to sound the same way, but humans evolved in a very noisy environment. Our planet has thunderstorms, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, ocean waves crashing on rocks. We learned to find beauty in loud, chaotic sounds because they were part of our world. The ambassador's branches were now shaking uncontrollably. But the mathematical models, every species we have tested shows the same response patterns. Acoustic overload leads to neural shutdown and behavioral submission. Maybe, Helen Park suggested. You haven't tested the right species yet. Earth is full of life that thrives in extreme conditions. We have creatures that live next to underwater volcanic vents. We have animals that navigate by echolocation in total darkness. We have humans who work in factories, live near airports, and attend rock concerts for fun. Marcus added, My neighbor back home is a drummer. He practices in his garage every night until midnight. His music is louder and more aggressive than this, and he does it because he enjoys it. The whole neighborhood has learned to appreciate it, or at least ignore it. Commander Velkoth made one final attempt, routing every available bit of power to the harmony breaker. The weapon was now operating at levels that violated several galactic treaties on acoustic warfare. The sound became so intense that the harmony chamber itself began to show structural stress. Cracks appeared in the walls, and the beautiful blue lighting flickered and dimmed. Lisa opened her eyes and looked around at the chaos the weapon was causing to the alien ship. For the first time since the assault began, she showed some concern. Hey, you might want to dial that back a little. I think you're going to damage your own vessel. But her concern was not for herself. Even at this impossible intensity, she continued to move to the rhythm. If anything, she seemed more energetic than before, like the increased volume had given her more to dance to. The aliens stared in complete disbelief. Their ultimate weapon, pushed beyond all safety limits, was not only failing to subdue the humans, but was actively entertaining them. The creatures they had feared as violent Deathworld monsters were treating their most advanced acoustic assault as a pleasant musical experience. Dr. Amy Carter held up her scanner with excitement. Captain, the harmonic relationships are becoming even more complex at this power level. They're creating interference patterns that wouldn't be possible with conventional sound generation. This is technology we could learn from. The harmony chamber filled with the sound of alien despair, as the crew realized that everything they thought they knew about warfare, psychology, and the nature of life itself had just been proven wrong by a human woman who was dancing to their weapon of mass submission. The harmony breaker finally reached its breaking point. Warning alarms screamed throughout the alien ship as the weapon overloaded its own power systems. Sparks flew from Commander Velkoth's control panel, and the intense sound that had filled the harmony chamber cut off abruptly, leaving behind a silence that felt almost oppressive after the acoustic assault. Lisa Rodriguez stopped dancing and clapped her hands enthusiastically. "That was amazing. Do you guys take requests? Because I'd love to hear what you could do with some polyrhythmic structures, maybe some microtonal elements thrown in there. You've got the raw power. But I think you could really explore some interesting musical territories." The alien crew stood in stunned silence. Some of them were still trembling from what they had just witnessed. Others stared at the humans with expressions that clearly meant they were reconsidering everything they thought they knew about the universe. Ambassador Zixithara's color had faded to a pale gray, and its voice when it finally spoke was barely a whisper. How is this possible? That weapon should have reduced you to a quivering, helpless mass. Instead, you danced. You enjoyed it. You asked for more." Lisa wiped some sweat from her forehead and grinned. "Look, I appreciate the technical skill that went into building that thing, but you guys clearly don't understand human culture very well. We've been making and listening to extreme music for centuries. What you just hit us with was loud and complex, sure, but it wasn't really any worse than a death metal concert." Dr. Amy Carter pulled up files on her tablet and showed them to the nearest alien, a creature that looked like a walking flower with too many eyes. "Here, let me show you some examples. This is a band called Death Grips. This is industrial music by a group called Wolf Eyes. This is an experimental noise artist named Merzbow. Humans actually pay money to experience sounds that would probably hospitalize most of your species." The flower alien leaned in to look at the tablet, then immediately backed away, making sounds of distress. "Those are not songs. Those are acoustic weapons designed to cause suffering." Marcus Johnson laughed. "Nah, those are just Tuesday night at any decent club in Detroit. You want to hear something really intense? Wait until you learn about black metal from Norway, or Japanese noise rock, or experimental sound installations in art museums." Helen Park had been taking notes throughout the entire encounter, and now she stepped forward to address Ambassador Zixithara directly. "I think the problem here is that you're trying to understand humans through the lens of your own cultural experiences. What sounds like chaos and violence to you is actually a form of artistic expression to us." Commander Velkoth was frantically working to repair its damaged control panel, its metallic tentacles moving with desperate precision. "The readings make no sense. Your neural activity during the assault showed patterns consistent with pleasure and engagement, not pain and submission. This contradicts every model we have of how minds respond to acoustic stress." Lisa nodded thoughtfully. "That's because you're missing some key information about human evolution and culture. See, Earth is what you call a death world, right? It's loud, chaotic, and dangerous. Humans didn't just learn to survive that environment. We learned to find beauty in it." She gestured around the harmony chamber, which still showed signs of damage from the overloaded weapon. Thunderstorms, volcanic eruptions, avalanches, ocean storms, all of these create incredibly loud and complex sound patterns. Our ancestors didn't just endure these sounds, they found meaning in them. Thunder became the voice of gods. Ocean waves became lullabies. We turned the chaos of our world into music, Dr. Amy Carter added, and then we started making our own chaos. We invented drums by hitting things with sticks. We created stringed instruments by making controlled noise with vibrating materials. We learned to sing, which is basically organized shouting. All music is just controlled chaos when you think about it. The crystal butterfly alien spoke up, its voice trembling with confusion. But the mathematical models show that acoustic overload should cause neural shutdown in any biological system. How can you process that level of auditory information without damage? Marcus grinned. Practice. Lots and lots of practice. I grew up in a house with 5 kids, 2 dogs, a construction site next door, and parents who love to play their music loud. My wife is a sound engineer who works on live concert setups. Our date nights usually involve standing next to speakers that could power a small city. Helen Park pulled up more files on her tablet. Let me show you something else. These are recordings from human workplaces. This is a factory floor. This is a subway system during rush hour. This is a construction site. This is traffic in downtown Los Angeles during a traffic jam. Humans live and work in acoustic environments that would be considered torture chambers by most species. Ambassador Zixthera stared at the tablet screen with growing horror. You live surrounded by constant noise. How do you think? How do you communicate? How do you maintain sanity in such chaos? Lisa shrugged. We adapt. We learn to filter out what we don't need to hear and focus on what's important. We develop tolerance for loud sounds, and eventually some of us actually start to prefer them. Silence can be just as disturbing to humans as noise is to you. The harmony chamber fell quiet except for the humming of damaged systems trying to repair themselves. The alien crew looked like their entire worldview had been shattered. Everything they thought they knew about biological responses to acoustic stress had been proven wrong by these strange Deathworld creatures. Commander. Velkoth finally managed to get its control panel working again and ran a diagnostic on the harmony breaker. The weapon is severely damaged. It will require extensive repairs before it can be used again. I do not understand how they withstood its maximum output. Dr. Amy Carter approached the commander with genuine scientific interest. Could I get a look at your technical specifications? The frequency generation method you're using is really sophisticated. I think there might be some applications for this technology in human music production. The metallic alien stared at her as if she had just asked for the blueprints to build a nuclear bomb for fun. You want to use weapon technology for entertainment purposes? Sure, Amy replied cheerfully. Humans have been turning military technology into entertainment for thousands of years. We invented fireworks by repurposing explosive weapons. We turned martial arts into sports and dance forms. We even turned the internet, which started as a military communication system, into a way to share cat videos and music. Lisa looked around at the damaged harmony chamber and the traumatized alien crew. I think we need to have a much longer conversation about human culture and what we're really like. Because you've based your entire first contact protocol on some serious misunderstandings about our species. Ambassador Zixthera's color had shifted to deep purple again, but now it seemed more thoughtful than fearful. Perhaps you are correct. We may have misjudged your people. If your response to the harmony breaker is any indication, our assumptions about Deathworld species may be entirely wrong. Lisa smiled and extended her hand again, this time more slowly and carefully. How about we start over? Hi there. I'm Captain Lisa Rodriguez of the human exploration vessel New Horizon. We come in peace and we're really excited to meet you. This time, Ambassador Zixthera reached out with one of its branch-like appendages and gently touched Lisa's hand. The contact felt warm and slightly electric, like touching a living tree during a thunderstorm. I am Ambassador Zixthera of the melodic hegemony, the alien replied, its voice regaining some of its musical quality, and I believe we have much to learn about each other. The harmony chamber filled with the sound of alien laughter as Ambassador Zixthera realized that their adventure in understanding humanity had only just begun. Outside the ship's windows, the stars looked different now, not cold and distant, but full of possibilities for music that had never been heard before. In the distance, both human and alien vessels began broadcasting the first collaborative song ever created between species, a quantum acoustic symphony T.